Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Histories Uncharted, and happy holidays.
Happy holidays.
I am your host, Shanna, and with me, as always, is my amazing co-host, Cecilia.
Hello, everybody.
And we are here in, I don't even know what number in our Christmas series, talking about some super fun Christmas stuff.
Heck yeah.
Because it's the holidays, baby.
It is the most magical time of year.
Yeah.
So they say.
It can be. It can be a lot of different things, but we're going to try to actually stay positive. I think... Nope, only last episode is the one without dead people. This one will definitely have some murder back into it for the holidays, so yay.
Some holiday murder.
Murder and mayhem, as only we enjoy. So thank you for coming to our holiday episode. This and the episode following will be nothing but really fun trivia and fun facts about all of the different things that we consider holiday traditions, like elves and reindeer, and where did snowmen come from? And all of those questions that we all have in the back of their minds on the holidays. And interesting conversation starters when you're with your family. And you're like, hey, I know where snowmen come from.
I think I'm most excited to get some knowledge in my back pocket for my small children. I think being able to drop some fun little holiday nuggets of knowledge into their brains is something that just kind of is the magical part about the season. Understanding the history of it. I'm excited to learn about Saint Nick.
That's right. And we are talking about holiday traditions through the ages, as we like to do.
I'm excited about this.
You can't talk about the holidays without talking about good old Santa Claus himself.
For reals. Like, he is the origins of why we do what we do.
Kinda.
He's kind of like amalgamated.
Yeah. I feel like everything we have nowadays is amalgamated from one thing. We just pick and choose what we want. And this is part of what we want. And it's his name from a real human that actually did exist. And his name was Nicholas of Myra. He was born, says March 15th, 270, and he died December 6th, 343. So that's why St. Nicholas Day is December 6th. Just throwing it out there. Krempen is December 5th, which is St. Nicholas Eve on purpose. The naughty and the good, the yin and the yang of the holidays in this season. So, but anyway, St. Nicholas was a real guy. And he was born from real parents. He was born to wealthy Christian parents in Anatolia, which is modern-day Turkey. So this is the Roman Empire, the changing world into Christianity. They've been pagan for so long, but by this period of time, we're really pro-Christian, more or less. So he is known for lots of miracles, because he is literally a saint. Saint Nicholas in the Christian religion because he performed miracles.
Wow.
Yeah, he is known as Nicholas the Wonder Worker. He is the patron saint of sailors, merchants, archers, repentant thieves, children, brewers, pawnbrokers, toy makers, unmarried people, and students in various cities and countries around Europe.
Wow.
His legendary habit of secret gift giving gave rise to the folklore of Santa Claus. It was Sinterklaas, Saint Nick, Santa Claus. These are changes and combinations throughout the years.
He's got a lot of names.
He does.
He definitely does.
And what he means at different points of time. But during this period of time, while he is alive, he was well known. He was a celebrity saint. He traveled around the world converting Christians and making sermons and performing miracles. And everyone knew his name. He was super, super popular and everyone believed in him at the time.
Okay.
He was Saint Badass.
Saint Nicholas of Myra was literally like a wicked cool dude.
Wicked cool dude. Yeah. He helped he helped everyone. He was very helpful to the unfortunate mostly. You know what I mean?
Right. Well, I mean, to get Nicholas the Wonder Worker,
Yeah.
like you had to be somebody pretty special.
You
just rolled around and just like touched people and made them feel warm and fuzzy. Like that's a special skill.
He did more than that. All right, let's start. Big miracle number 1.
Okay.
All right. So once upon a time, there was this man that had 3 beautiful daughters. He was too poor to pay for the dowries for these 3 beautiful daughters. And so what are you going to do? You're going to have to sell them into prostitution because they're women. What else are you going to do with your women? Right?
That's really sad, but like, I guess. Like, it's of the times, so that makes sense.
Yeah, he's a dude. He's got too many chicks on his hands. He can't keep feeding them and take care of them. No one can marry him because they don't have dowries. So
what a loving dad.
Nick is trucking along his life, traveling around, and he hears about this and he goes, man, just like you, he says, that sucks. I don't want that to happen. Mm-hmm. But he doesn't want to like shame the man or get all up in some stranger's business. So it branches out a couple different ways here. The first night, he goes up to their window and he chucks a bag of gold coins into the man's house and it lands in the stockings that are hanging by the chimney to dry.
How convenient.
And so all of a sudden, the man has enough money for the dowry for one of his daughters and she is able to get married. And yay. And then, oh no, now I have 2 daughters. And so the next night he comes and he chucks a bag of gold in through the window. It lands in the stockings. He's able to save the second daughter from prostitution. And then, as you may guess, the third night he chucks another bag of gold in. And thus he has saved these poor women from an unfortunate life of servitude and slavery.
Because you're Saint Nicholas and you're a good guy.
So that's that one. So in one of the versions, like Nick ordered him not to tell anyone about the gifts, but I mean, obviously he did because the rumor got out and it's like his main story. Right. So he couldn't even not tell.
Damn it.
Okay. He is also the patron saint of sailors.
Like that one, I guess I don't really understand. Like say
it's sailors. A couple different things. It's weird. So one time he was on this boat traveling somewhere and a storm came up and the seas were really choppy and they were like, oh no, the seas. And he like touched the water and said, be calm, water. And the water calmed and they were like, yay, cool, now we can travel safely. So
thanks, water.
Yeah, that was fun.
Okay.
Yeah. So apparently there were these dudes that were set up and they were about to be executed. These 3 men were accused of something and were about to be executed. And he walks up. There's all these beautiful, really images and paintings of this scene of him standing in between the men and the blades and the swords and the executioner to save them and says, and he convinces them to spare their lives and shows that they are innocent. So he is the patron saint of repentant thieves and stuff like that, and the innocent.
Yeah. Heck yeah. Well, he's just like bossing around.
All right, just so like, kind of miracle-y.
Doing the good deeds.
He does the good deeds.
I dig that for him.
Kind of miracle-y with the calming of the waters.
Yeah, that seems a little weird, but...
All right. Well, here's another miracle for you.
Okay.
Which attaches him to brewers and children all together now.
It's an odd pairing, but I do tell.
It is. So legend has it that once upon a time in this village, it keeps getting hit by a bunch of famines and tough times. And this butcher decides to randomly kill people to sell their meat to the population as animal meat to survive, right? Okay. To make ends meet. So it is kind of known about this. So apparently he kills these young 3 boys. He chops them up into little pieces and he shoves them into brewer's barrels and he pickles them. okay, to sell to future customers. Okay, so Nicholas hears about this, and somewhere between 3 months and 3 years, he travels to this village and accosts this butcher and says, "Yo, bro, you can't be doing this to young boys. This isn't cool."
Because you can't.
You can't. It's not okay.
It's not.
And so he performed a miracle by bringing the boys back to life from the pickling jar.
Okay.
Okay. So that is how he is the patron saint of children. He does gifts too. He's a very generous guy, so he's always like small coins and small gifts to little children as they run up, kind of like bigger children or whatever. Random gift giving and the helping of these 3 pickled boys is what attached him to children.
3 pickled boys back to life.
Yeah.
Is what you just said to me.
I did, and there were lots of different versions, and some of them were they were pickled for months, and some of them they were pickled for years, and he's still, I mean, does it matter how long you're pickled before you could be, is there a time frame where you're like, okay, after 2 years you can't really be brought back?
I just, like the saturation and then the like, how long does it take you to unsaturate?
It's a miracle.
Is it a miracle?
It's
you
a
just
miracle.
immediately become unpickled?
They were just like, boom, boys again.
Or do you just, are
they 3 years older?
Reanimated pickle? Are you 3 years older? That's a deep question there. That's for...
Do they remember being pickled and massacred?
Were they pickled alive? Like, I wonder what...
No, they were butchered and chopped into pieces and then pickled.
Then pickled.
Because you got to process it correctly to pickle. You can't you can't just throw something in there. You've got to drain the blood out. You've got to treat. You got to take the clothes off. Like, you got to process and treat before you can pickle.
How do you put them back together, Shanna?
It's a freaking miracle, Cecilia. It's called faith, bruh.
How do they put them back together, Shanna?
Well, that's why we call it a miracle. That's why he's good old Saint Nick, and that's why he loves children. So, while she composes herself, I'm going to bring all of the Histories Uncharted listeners back to a repeat offender of our podcast, and that's good old Diocletian.
This guy.
He's coming back. He's
this guy.
He's just, an emperor during a period of transition from paganism to Christianity. He is old school paganism, but Christianity is fighting the good fight and it's winning. And he's one of the last really holdouts, and it becomes very violent transition during this period of time. So Nicholas is a Christian, obviously. He's walking around, unpickling people, causing miracles. So he's obviously a threat. So of course Diocletian goes ahead and throws him in jail. Right. As you do. But the emperor of Rome that was next is Constantine. And Constantine is infamously Christian. He makes the Roman population Christian. This is a big transition. It's a big deal. We're not even going to hit it and quit it. We're just going to move on with that crap. Because he is Christian, Saint Nick is released from jail because he was a Christian prisoner of a pagan. And now he's not.
Right.
So, just so that you know, Emperor Justinian, we all know him. He renovated churches in Constantinople that were dedicated to St. Nicholas. So there's your connection to Justinian and Theodora to Santa Claus.
Right?
There you go. That's why we have notes, folks, because there's no way I could do this without
pull that out
trying
of the magic hat.
Yeah, or just trying to keep my thought process on a train track moving forward. I like to do loopy loops.
That's fair. But I love that he was rolling around the same time as Justinian. She was a super do-gooder too.
Much later.
Oh, much later.
Much later. It's just that Constantinople had churches that were dedicated to Saint Nick because he was a really important dude as a saint, as a miracle worker, not as some weird red-wearing flying dude. He was a saint.
Okay.
Yeah.
Then I take all that back. And it super makes sense that Justinian, sorry, I want to make him feminine.
Yeah, you
Justinian and
Theodora
were super into this dude end his good deeds, because they were do-gooders. They wanted things to be better under their vision of what should be better.
And that it's 200 years later.
Right.
In Constantinople, and there are churches that are dedicated to him as a saint. Okay, keeping all of this in mind,
right,
with relics and saints and Christians. Okay, this is where we're going.
It's a lot.
That's right. There are no reindeer in this story yet, folks.
Nope.
So this real human, he died because that's what dudes do. And he didn't die in any controversy or anything. He died as an old man in his bed.
Right.
So it was a good life of being a Saint Nick.
I love that.
Okay, so when he died, he was entombed in a church that was located at the highest point on a small Turkish island only 20 miles away from his birthplace in Patara. Okay? In the mid-7th century, so 600s, he died in what? Three something. So a few hundred years later, this period and area of land is under attack by not only who, but the Ottomans.
Okay.
Right? Because they're going to come into Turkey. They're going to take Constantinople. They're moving through Europe. They're taking over the world. Here come the Ottomans into this Christian area.
Right.
Okay? So they're like, oh my God, we have to move his body and his bones. So they move them from the island to the city of Myra, where he worked as a bishop. Because remember, he's a holy dude and a church dude. He moved around. He's the St. Nicholas of Myra. He worked there. So they hid his body there. All right? Okay, so that kept it safe until about 1071. Those pesky Turks are causing trouble again. And they're starting to get more and more territory and influence in this area. Okay. So these Italian sailors are like, no, our Christian saint is not going to be desecrated by Turks.
For reals.
Okay.
He belongs to us. Leave him alone.
Saint Nick's is ours. They are worried about the Ottomans desecrating his remains. Okay. They sneak into Myra and they steal only the large bones. So now Saint Nick's is getting piecemealed.
So we're going to desecrate you.
We're piecemealing.
To make sure you're not desecrated.
We take them and we go and we take them to a church in Bari, Italy.
Okay.
All right. So 3/4 of Santa Claus is now in Bari, Italy, and the remainder is in Myra. Okay.
If you have to stay with your bones, how does that work?
I know, right? Are you
in the afterlife
split in half?
That's what I really want to know.
So people, really get upset about this, and they are desecrating his remains, right? And they literally say, this was a rescue mission.
What are you doing, guys?
I am protecting Saint Nick from the Ottomans. So they're like, this is a rescue mission and we had to do it, okay? So now, a couple hundred years later, okay, Venetian ships are sailing past, and it's the First Crusade. Okay, we're fucking with the Ottomans again. And he says, oh my gosh, I am right in the area of where St. Nick is. I'm going to take this opportunity to go back and take all of his little bones. And they go and they sift through and they take this poor man's little bones and they take them back to Venice, Italy. So now St. Nicholas of Myra is split in half, and half of his bones are in Bari, Italy, and the other half or chunk of them or whatever is in Venice, Italy. Okay?
All right. Okay.
All right. So as of December 28, 2009, the Turkish government officially announced that it would formally request the return of St. Nicholas's skeletal remains to Turkey from Italy. So that means that Turkey is suing Italy for Santa Claus's corpse.
They're like, give us her Santa back.
Santa Claus is ours. Give us the Santa Claus corpse back.
He belongs to us.
And apparently in the Eastern Orthodox Church, St. Nicholas's memory is celebrated on almost every Thursday of the year. So that's like 52 times a year he is celebrated. In medieval times, Christian nuns in Belgium and France began to deposit baskets of food and clothes anonymously on doorsteps of the needy. So this gave like a rise to the practice of gift giving.
Okay.
Sinterklaas is Dutch, and so it kind of the Santa Claus kind of grew from that. He is typically depicted as an elderly and stately man, the long hair, the full beard, more like Gandalf.
Right.
Than what we would picture Santa Claus.
He's less portly.
He is less portly.
Yeah.
And he has a long red cape. He rides this big white horse.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think the movie Klaus kind of depicts how I would imagine that Dutch version of Sinterklaas. The big, huge, broad shoulders. He's kind of... You remember that movie Klaus from Netflix? It's one of their... Have you watched? It's animated, so of course you haven't.
Yeah.
Of course you haven't watched it.
Blank's face here, folks. Sorry.
That's fair. He looks
Does not compute.
He looks like an animated Odin.
I have a large Santa Claus collection, and 95% of them are the Norwegian and the Nordic and the Sinterklaas represent, like Father Christmas type of representation. Robes and beards.
Less big round belly and
they're
rosy cheeks.
Very gaunt. They're normally very gaunt.
I'll have to go relook at that.
Apparently, his big white horse was named Amerigo. Amerigo. But in 2019, the Netherlands changed it to Ozzesnel, which means, oh, so fast. This is a very popular song, like a Christmas song, a Sinterklaas song that they sing, and they call him Ozzesnel, which means oh so fast. In Belgium, I'm sorry, I didn't read this beforehand and do my phonetic spelling here. The horse is named Slecht Vervandag, meaning bad weather today. Or you can call them Mooi Vervandag, which means nice weather today. And that's what Santa Claus's horse was called before he had reindeer.
I absolutely love that.
Yeah, because he didn't get reindeer until pretty late in the game. But we have been rocking on him since the 300s.
Cool.
Yeah.
And he's a white horse at some point.
A big white horse called Amerigo until we start messing with it.
But also, like, isn't that so they still celebrate that?
You have to ask a Dutch person if they are a Rudolph or an Ozzesnel.
That's fair.
Who do you leave carrots out for?
Right?
We leave them for Rudolph.
I love that we all leave carrots out, though.
But we do leave, and ironically, leaving carrots out, we're going to get to that later, is one of the very first traditions.
Is it?
Yeah, it's super old, and I really love that, too.
Fun.
So apparently, wrapping it up here, Sinterklaas carries a big red book, which records whether they have been naughty or nice. Kind of leading to that naughty nice list.
That right there, I think that is so casually just dropped.
The list?
In conversation about Santa Claus. Like, he knows when you've been naughty, he knows when you've been nice, he knows when...
I'm sorry, that song's creepy.
He's just, like, he's all knowing. To me, I always thought that, like, if Santa Claus was real, like, he would be more powerful than Jesus. Okay? Like, if he were to go into what did they call it? Like, Celebrity Deathmatch or something? The claymation series.
That show! MTV's Celebrity Deathmatch, claymation, and that's it. Santa Claus and Jesus. Come on, people. Bring it back.
I think that... the two of them duking it out. That like Santa Claus would totally win.
He's just a complete voyeur, I think.
It absolutely blows my mind.
I guess he doesn't watch, but he just knows.
He knows.
It's creepy.
He knows when you're sleeping, Shanna.
So just be good for goodness sake. And it's like, oh my God, it's terrible.
He was scarier than Jesus to me growing up as a child. Like, if we're, Just really was. Like,
I think he would have been scarier if he was the more Gandalf figure of these times, but that's not the Santa Claus of our childhood. Our Santa Claus is older. He has a nice trimmed white beard. He has red pants, red jacket, red hat, very jolly big belly, very friendly, very caring, and kid appropriate. And this version has only been around since the 1930s and is actually a marketing result from the Coca-Cola Company. They're propaganda.
It's super subversive that it feels like he has always been there.
Right.
Isn't that funny?
He used to actually be more blue and green. Those are more natural colors, but he is red and white because they wanted to match their marketing to their colors, which are red and white of Coca-Cola.
That's absolutely silly.
And then a lot of the traditions are from right around this period of time when they started doing poems and stuff. So all of these family traditions that we've had for generations and generations are really only from like the 1930s.
That's super funny.
Yeah. One of those traditions in many people's houses that I have talked to, you know, ask them, do you do stockings? What do you do? Stuff like that. Many of them do stockings. These are normally hung on December 6th, which is St. Nicholas Day, if you remember why. You know, saving prostitutes, chucking gold through windows.
Heck yeah.
Yep. Lands into a stocking that was hanging by the fire with care.
For real. Get your bag of gold, guys.
Yeah.
Get your stockings up.
So in Norway, good little girls and boys would fill their own socks with carrots or straw or sugar for Odin's horse. I always say it wrong. Sleipnir. Well, we all know Odin's horse. And then Odin would be so grateful, he would refill them with candy and small gifts. So you put yummy treats for the horse, and then Odin would dump them out, give them to the horse, and then fill your socks with candy and small gifts. And that would be lots of fun.
Oh, my goodness. I sniff a tradition. That's adorable. I really like that.
12th century French nuns would go around putting tangerines in stockings for poor people. Fruit in particular was not always accessible to the poor and stuff like that. So fruits and nuts were a common thing around the holidays.
Right.
Yeah.
And didn't usually like nuns and monks spend a lot of time farming?
They did.
Having orchards and taking care of things like that.
They would either take that food and provide it to the poor or sell it at markets for money to help the abbey continue to run.
I love that.
So yeah, some of them like brewed beer. Monks were really famous for their wine and beer.
Yeah.
That's where you would go in the medieval times. So I thought that was fun. All right. Every year in Dutch, where is that? Amsterdam. Oh my goodness. Every year in Amsterdam, children would place their shoes by the fire in the hopes that Sinterklaas would fill them with gifts and treats. They were also leaving carrots and stuff for Sinterklaas's faithful steed. So it was a very popular tradition. You leave snacks and then they replaced them with snacks for you.
Right.
All of this changed one fateful Christmas in 1823 when a poem was written, A Visit from St. Nicholas, better known as 'Twas the Night Before Christmas. We're gonna circle back to that, folks, because my notes are not in any particular order, and that's not what's next.
It's not.
We have a really fun tradition called the Christmas pickle.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah. A lot of people I know have this in their family, and this is an ornament shaped like a pickle. And you hide it on the Christmas tree somewhere. And then either Christmas Eve or Christmas morning, you go and you try to find the pickle. And whoever finds the pickle first either gets to open the first gift, hand out the gifts, has good luck for the rest of the year. You know, whatever your tradition is. So, the Christmas pickle.
I am so in love with the Christmas pickle that we're going to create a pickle ornament so that I can hang one on the tree. Because I really think that is a super fun tradition.
It is a fun tradition.
Yeah.
And a lot of people think that originally comes from Germany, but there really isn't a lot of evidence to support that. So there's a couple different origination stories floating around. So here at History's Uncharted, we like to give the different versions and we let you decide for yourself what the truth is.
I'm ready for this.
Heck yeah. So possibly around the 1890s when Woolworth, that really huge department store, they started selling glass-blown ornaments that looked like fruits and vegetables, and these were imported from Germany and France. So maybe a fruit or vegetable shaped glass ornament imported from Germany could have spurned this tradition. Possibly.
Okay.
Another suggested origin has been that the tradition came from Camp Sumter during the American Civil War. So Camp Sumter was rough. It was a prisoner of war camp, and it was basically like where they put you to die. Like they didn't bother to feed you or give you any clothes or shelter. People were like lean-tos and cardboard, and this is through the winter. People were just dying of dysentery and starvation, and they didn't have clean water, exposure.
Oh my golly.
It was horrific, and this is American on American violence. Camp Sumter is really a thing of nightmares. So there's this Bavarian-born private. So he was a soldier that was captured in 1864, and he was taken to Camp Sumter. So as the story is told, he begged a guard for a pickle because he was starving. Like he saw this guard standing there eating this pickle, and he said, "Please, sir, I'm starving.
Right.
Will you save me?" And the guard took pity on him and gave the man the pickle, which probably saved his life, giving him that little bit of nutrition to survive. And then after returning to his family, Mr. Lower began the tradition of hiding a pickle on the Christmas tree each year. So
because the pickle saved his life.
yeah.
What a weird situation.
Traumatic situation.
I don't know, right? I mean, to be the guard, I don't know. What a weird situation. But that is interesting. I guess maybe I'm still into it. I'm still into the pickle.
Yeah. Even though it's a cannibalistic butcher pickling 3 boys and shoving them in a barrel.
I know, right? Or potentially, the pickle that saved this bro's life.
Yeah, I think that's a very positive take on the story. So it really doesn't matter which origin story you prefer. You take what you want.
Right.
Take the Woolworths, man. I have a tradition of shopping and glass-blown ornaments in my family. My grandma would probably pick the Woolworth tradition in a heartbeat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I'm excited to share the different stories.
I'm a butchered kid origin story all the way.
Yeah.
Yep.
We put a pickle on there because Saint Nick resurrected 3 pickled children.
Yeah.
I dig that. Warm and fuzzy, guys.
Here's another weird but warm and fuzzy. I know you don't really think about insects at Christmas. Not generally.
No, not really. That's generally like when they're all,
sleeping.
It gets really cold outside. So a lot of them are like at the natural end of their life cycle. So they die or...
That's nice.
Hibernation.
Yeah. Well, apparently in the Ukraine, they have a tradition that is called the Christmas spider. And goes a little something like this. Once upon a time, there was a poor old widow with 3 beautiful daughters. One day, a pine cone fell in her yard, and it grew into a pine tree. The family was so excited to have a Christmas tree for the first time ever. They grew it to the perfect size, a tiny little tree that would fit their tiny little home, and they couldn't afford to put any ornaments on it. It was Christmas Eve, and while the tree was beautiful, the little girls were sad that they couldn't put any ornaments on it. And they went to bed with tears in their eyes, Cecilia. That's so sad.
Children.
On Christmas Eve.
Their Christmas tree with no beautiful ornaments.
Yeah. Well, the spiders were watching, and they took pity on the poor little girls.
Aww.
And they spent all night weaving and webbing the most beautiful ornaments and decorations all over the trees. As soon as the girls came in the next morning, the sunlight glistened off of the webs, and the children were so excited in the morning, blah, 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 blah. Is apparently what my notes say, because I was really tired of writing Christmas junk at about this time.
You're like, this is just...
We all know how the story ends.
Enough.
So apparently having a spider in the tree is to remind you to be happy with what you have, and that the best things in life really don't need to be expensive. It's also thought to be the origin story of tinsel.
Oh,
Yeah.
I super love that. That's really, really warm and fuzzy.
So this year I wanted to expand and expose ourselves to all these traditions, and I gifted young Cecilia here with a Christmas spider to hang on her tree so that we can remember to be grateful for the little things.
Absolutely. And what we do have. It's, I think, a great story to share with your children.
Especially at Christmas time when all you are is exposed to all this capitalistic, you need to buy, you need to have, everyone needs to have matching pajamas every year, and everyone has to have 100 presents under the tree, and everyone has to have, and you have to have the fun sweater, and then you have to have the decorations, and then you have to have, and you have to have. And now your car has to have lights all over it.
Oh my goodness. Glow lights up on the rims.
I
so
know.
That your tires
Antlers
look fancy.
and red noses and lights. So everything is very expensive.
And if you're not doing, you're failing in life.
Exactly.
That's a lie, guys. It's totally a joke.
We do not support that at all.
We do not support that at all. We remind our children all of the time that the spirit of Christmas is about
Spending time with your family
Yes.
and sharing in the warm moments, like a lovely brunch spread.
Heck yeah, hanging out with your bestie on a Saturday afternoon.
Talking about wicked Christmas stuff.
Woo woo.
Woo, woo, like reindeer. I'm sorry, there's no method to the madness today. And the very first reference to Santa's sleigh being pulled by reindeer as opposed to the big white horse Amerigo stars in 1823 with a poem by Clement C. Moore, The Visit from St. Nicholas, also known as The Night Before Christmas.
Yeah, I'm excited to get into this poem because it really is. It is the epitome. I remember being read this.
Were you?
As a very young child on Christmas Eve.
Did you watch the animated little guy with the mouse and the original one is like from the 70s or 80s or whatever? We watched it every year.
Probably have. I'm pretty sure I have.
So this starts the modern Christmas lore that there are 8 reindeer that pull the sleigh and fly through the air, right? Okay, so the original poem, the names of the reindeer are given as Dasher and Dancer and Prancer and Vixen, Comet and Cupid, Dunder and Blixen. All right. This is because Donder is a Dutch form word for thunder, and Blitzen is for lightning. So I thought that was really, really cool to learn that Donner and Blitzen are kind of like thunder and lightning.
I really love that too.
We kind of changed it from the Donder to Donner in the earlier 20th century. But yeah. Comet and Cupid and thunder and lightning.
Yeah. Santa sounds rock and roll.
Yeah.
I don't know. I dig that. I dig it. We can go back. It's cool.
Okay, so apparently in 1902, this other dude's like trying to jump on this Christmas bandwagon, and he writes this story, The Life and Adventures of Santa Claus. And he starts talking about 10 reindeer with insane names. Okay, I thought that these were hilarious. Are you ready for this?
Yeah.
Okay. He had... It's like I almost want to try to sing this. Flossy and Glossy and Racer and Pacer, Reckless and Speckless, Fearless and Peerless, but there's also Ready and Steady because there's 10. It almost kind of does. It's kind of roll off the tongue there.
It does. It gives a sing-songy flossy
Flossy
and
and
glossy.
glossy.
They just kick it off, you know?
Yeah.
Racer and pacer, reckless and speckless, fearless and peerless, ready and steady.
Yeah. They're all paired up. Yeah. I wonder if these were also female because, like now, the tradition is that Santa's reindeers are all ladies.
Well, and that makes a lot of sense. I learned that little factoid recently that reindeer are one of the few where the men lose their horns during the winter, but females do not.
Yes.
Lose them. And that was really cool. So it means that by proxy that they are all female.
Because some lore has their magic is in their antlers. Like that's what helps them fly. In some they eat things, some it's the spirit of Christmas. Like there's lots of different lore that kind of explains how these reindeer are able to fly.
Right.
Yeah.
I dig that. That's really, really cool. But I see why we went with Moore's.
You don't like flossy and glossy?
I mean, I dig flossy and glossy, but I think Baum kind of missed
reckless
the mark.
I don't know. You don't want to
fearless and peerless. I don't know. That's a little fearless and peerless. It's a little weird.
It's a Halloween one.
Yeah,
reckless, fearless, and peerless.
For reals.
Those are Oogie Boogie's men. Rudolph didn't come onto this story until about 40 or 50 years later. Apparently in 1939, Montgomery Ward, again another department store, very important in the foundation of American traditions. So they were doing this marketing ploy again, and they had this children's book published that they handed out to all of the little kids in their big Santa village in the middle of the department store. And it was a storybook that had Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer in it. There was that.
And then we get the song right around that time too with Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. I can't remember who it was that sang it, but it was one of those old-timey crooners.
The name is Gene Autry.
Oh, okay.
1949. 10 years later, we have that song that we're very familiar with. Apparently, the guy that came up with the storybook kind of was debating on what to name Rudolph. Rudolph was not his first choice. All right.
Yeah.
So here are some things he was kind of milling around, kicking around the old thinker here. You ready?
Yeah.
Rollo the Red-Nosed Reindeer.
Okay, I could see that. Oh, I love Rollos too.
Oh, I do too.
I wonder if he would have like a golden nose if he was a Rollo.
Ew.
Anyways, probably not. I think he would have predated the candy.
Probably.
But anyways.
Maybe we should Google the origination of Rollo. Why don't you go ahead and do that just so that we can satisfy our own curiosity. Another thing that he was kicking around was Reginald, the Red-Nosed Reindeer. Reginald. But then we can call him Reggie. I mean, that seems like fun. But instead it's Rudolph. And you know, we don't call him Rudy.
Well, Rollo is 1937.
Ooh, then possibly the nose could have been golden. If it was Rollo.
Potentially, yeah. 39. Anyways, Rudolph was the winner, though.
Rudolph came out on top. Reginald.
Instead of Rollo and Reginald. Reginald, the Red-Nosed Reindeer. Seems like he should have some glasses on.
Aw. Poor Reggie.
Reggie he seems like, studious.
Oh, well, I guess that's why we went with Rudolph. He seemed funner.
Yeah,
Rudolph.
He seemed a little aloof, a little more aloof, a little more Bambi-like, I guess.
I guess.
Rollo probably would have been like little beefcake, Like he would have you would see his little muscles flexing under his
maybe
fur.
It wasn't like a baby.
Yeah, he would be like a little meaner on the streets, with his golden nose.
With his golden nose.
But Rudolph, he seems like a friendly, jovial, red-nosed reindeer.
Yeah,
I dig it.
So we're going to jump around again to the Christmas elf.
Oh, I love elves.
Yeah, most people think that the elves are going to derive from Norse mythology.
Right.
They have little people that they refer to as hidden folk. It's most likely combined with like Norse legends, Celtic cultures. They have lots of myths that have elves and fairies and nature spirits. Lots of supernatural beings. Things in Germany. A kobold, think. They have house spirits named brownies in Scotland. Very familiar with those. And then in medieval Europe, elves were often nefarious or linked to demons. So the elf, the small creature, the small person, the small fairy has been around in lots of different cultures.
Lots of different ways.
Yeah.
But same idea.
Yeah, that's where the Christmas elf comes from, is these hidden folk. Small, tiny hidden folk. Which I think is interesting because like sometimes, and then you come into like Lord of the Rings elf. They're like people.
These tall, huge, like long, thin, slender,
elves.
Wispy, soft people that you don't think of Christmas elf. So I think it's interesting that we have the different variations, but that these specifically, I like them. The Christmas elf.
The Christmas elf. Well, the Christmas elf that makes it more Christmassy workshop as opposed to like a brownie or an elf or a forest dweller, right? Kind of gets popularized in this person, let's see, Godey's Lady's Book. It's 1873. There's this Christmas issue that has this illustration on the cover that shows Santa surrounded by toys and elves, saying like, this is how the elves are made and this is how they prepare for Christmas. So the toys, this is how the toys are made. Thank you. This is how the elves. No, this is how we make elves.
This is how the elves are made. This is how the sausage is made, guys.
Not that kind of sausage. So it has this caption: "These are how the toys are made that Santa delivers because he needs help."
Yeah, I mean, how else are we going to make this believable to our sweet little children so that they stay mostly in line most of the year?
I guess since Santa is eternal, the elves are kind of eternal as well.
Yeah.
They are immortal and live either hundreds of years, really long lives, something like that. I don't know why we've made them eternally youthful in many representations. Maybe because it's his connection to children. Maybe because it's easier to take. I don't know, but we like them as children.
I never really noticed that, but I think that you're totally right. That they all seemed very childlike in all of their portrayals, don't they?
Well, it goes one of two ways. Like, remember the elves in Norse mythology, and we talked about one of the depictions of elves, and I can't remember their little names from the last episode, but they're dwarfs. They look like old men. They have beards. So there's the two different representations of Christmas elves. Is the old men, little dwarf guys, or the young children that are immortal. So
that is true.
Yeah.
But these guys were creepy little childlike.
It depends on how you think Santa's elves look. As I am going to say again, I think that they should look like the pygmies off of The Mummy, going...
Yeah, I agree.
Those are my favorite thoughts. Wow, here we're going to do some random facts. This is Christmas in the military. I know, and I really don't enjoy military, even though we talk a lot about wars and battles and stuff. It's just part of history. But these are some warm and fuzzies for you, Cecilia. December 1914, World War I. All right?
Yay, war.
Yay, war. Men are dying every day. It's one of the most brutal battles. We have modern technology with our weapons and stuff like that. And just men are dying at insane numbers for the first time. But on Christmas Eve, 1914, an astonishing event took place. All up and down the Western Front, Allied and German soldiers met peacefully in no man's land. So they were both in trenches shooting at each other across this span of land. But on Christmas Eve, they stopped shooting. They went, they shared a cup of tea or coffee with each other. They sang songs, they laughed. And then at dawn, they went back to their trenches and they resumed shooting again. But for a brief period of time, they all came together in the spirit of Christmas.
That's like super warm and fuzzy.
I know.
I mean, it's kind of fucked up that like afterwards they're like, whatever, let's go back to murder and mayhem. Yay. I don't know. That seems kind of like it just defeats the purpose of the Christmas spirit, guys.
It should last all year round, not just for that night.
Right?
Yeah,
you're not
let's
going to
stop
impress
fighting
Santa with that behavior, guys.
All right, so that's World War I. But during World War II, all right, a playing card company in the United States joined forces with American and British intelligence agencies, and they created very special decks of cards. They then handed out these decks of cards to the American soldiers as Christmas presents. Little stocking stuffers for the boys on the front.
Nice.
Yeah. But what they did is they would peel apart and would reveal maps that had escape routes out of prisoner of war camps.
Oh, how nice.
So they would like pass these decks of cards around that would have maps and escape routes and helpful hints to help soldiers, hidden in the playing cards and something innocuous that anyone could carry with them.
Right.
Yeah.
That's clever.
Yeah, and they gave them out as Christmas presents to
Happy
distribute
Christmas.
them. Happy Christmas.
Here's your escape route.
Yeah.
Vibes. I dig that. Way to go, guys.
I thought that was really cool. I tell you, I'm just really trying to get some things that are maybe things that you haven't heard before.
I mean, I have never heard that before. So I think that's pretty cool.
Thanks. Fun fact.
Fun fact.
You should always avoid sending your Japanese friends Christmas cards that have lots of red on them. In their culture, red stands for death.
Yep.
Typically, funereal services and announcements are sent in red. So, more greens and golds for your festive holiday cards to your Japanese friends.
The more you know.
Speaking of your friendly Japanese neighbors, apparently the most favorite thing to eat on Christmas, and I would have had this in the holiday treats, but I was debating, I went back and forth. Do I want trivia? Do I want treats? Do I want trivia? Do I want treats? I went trivia with this one, and apparently KFC is the most popular thing to order for the Christmas dinner in Japan. You actually have to place your orders up to 2 months in advance, and it's insane.
I love that.
Yeah.
2 months in advance.
For KFC.
Get your KFC Christmas order in. I'm sorry. Do they celebrate Christmas in Japan? Like, is it...
It depends. So modern secular Christmas, right, is different from a lot of the religious Christian celebrations. So I think it could go a lot of different ways with the modern interpretations.
I could appreciate that.
So apparently in England, 700 million pounds is the approximate amount spent on unwanted Christmas gifts. You spend that much money on gifts you don't even want.
That's why I ask for the list from the kids.
Yeah.
You know, I don't want to spend money on things that are
wasteful,
wasteful, frivolous things that they're not going to want. And I really dig
unwanted
that.
Christmas gifts, man. All that extra money.
700 million pounds, guys. We could fix homelessness.
Feed some kids.
For the year.
Maybe some Band-Aids. Yeah.
For reals. Like, let's not.
Not just England. That's
the
everywhere.
amount of swim lessons that we could provide.
And I'm not trying to just call out England or anything. It's just that is probably very comparable.
Oh, I bet
around.
Americans are worse. I bet you Americans are way worse.
We have gifts just to buy gifts. It's ridiculous.
For real.
The pajama debacle and situation going on here. That's just escalated over the past few years. It's intensified to a new level.
Every year you need a new pair of pajamas.
that you wear one day.
Every year.
And you don't wear those pajamas again. Yeah.
You don't need a new pair every
You don't.
year.
You wear your same Christmas pajamas. How about that's your tradition?
My God.
Or maybe you wear pajamas that aren't Christmas so that you can wear them year round.
I don't. See,
That's how I would rather go, so I can actually wear it more than one day.
absolutely. I am on that bandwagon. I am on the bandwagon of what is it that you actually need? And I think I'm at the point right now because I have older children, which is really fun. Older children that could probably start looking for jobs.
Yeah.
Or are going to be going to school and will have some form of disposable income, because they should be working. We're getting really close.
Yeah,
the
yeah.
two of them. So it's like sometimes I look at a gift and I go,
Yeah, no.
that's something that you're going to be able to save and get yourself. That's a you treating you gift right there. This is your parents are going to pay for you to have what you need and then the layer of what you want from that need. That's a Christmas gift to me.
Yeah.
Like tennis shoes throughout the year, like you need a pair of tennis shoes. Like here's a $20 special from Walmart. Christmas is like there are these Vans.
Right.
That
the
are
nice
really
shoes.
cool.
Yeah.
That I really want and I love them because they're super special.
Yeah.
That's what I'll do for Christmas. And it's like you get the one
big.
The one nice, really big ask. But it has to be useful. It can't be something crazy and frivolous. I'm not going to spend $200 on
A video gaming system every year.
Yes.
Yeah. Did you know that turkey was not always the traditional food on Christmas Day?
I rue the day that it did become.
Yeah, you're
the
not a big
traditional
turkey
Christmas Day
person.
food. No. There's so many.
Well, maybe we could take it back. Let's go traditional. All right. And then maybe this year we go ahead and do the pig head served with mustard.
I'm here for it. Pighead sounds delightful.
And their mustards, they have quite the kicks. They make them with horseradish. So it'd be delightful.
I would love that. Do like a little platter of mustards and some delicious roasted pig head. Oh, I mean, they don't really say how it is. If it was boiled, maybe that wouldn't be so delightful.
They are British.
Yeah.
Cecilia.
Shanna.
Fun fact. Lego sells around 28 sets every second during the Christmas season.
I am not surprised.
That fun fact is brought to you from my husband because he is a Lego fanatic.
Thanks, husband. He's not wrong. Legos are insane during Christmas.
Can you remind me what you call eggnog?
Christmas milk.
Christmas milk. Well, did you know that many, many people call it milk punch?
I dig that. Milk punch.
Maybe that's what you should sell it to Jack. Milk punch.
Milk punch.
So I thought that was fun. Eggnog.
What's that? I had an eggnog latte this morning and it was so delightful.
I haven't really indulged in a lot of eggnogs, not since the last eggnog you and I indulged in. It's freaking expensive this year, man.
Yeah, it is.
Okay, in Canada, they legit have a postal code, HOHOHO, which if you look at it is ho, ho, ho. And if you put that postal code on your letter, they know that it will be designated for Santa at the North Pole. They get personalized replies from Santa through Canada's Postal Service Santa letter writing program. Isn't that insane? During the months of November and December, Santa receives around 32,000 letters daily.
Daily?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That is some magic out there in the world. That's a lot of kids, actually. I mean, that's surprising.
It is. Well, kids, I can see that, though. You write your list and now they do emails. I don't know where you're supposed to send it.
Can you get a personalized reply? That's insane.
I don't know if they do all of them.
Yeah. I wonder if it's literally just like a printed out.
It's stamped or something.
Yeah, stamped with this little thing that's like, I'm sorry, this is Santa's elves. Santa's elves have, just generated automated, just in case there's any listeners. Apparently, we're worried about our listeners. Just in case
all four of you. Okay. Jingle Bells, Batman Smells, one of my favorite songs. This was written in 1857 for a Thanksgiving concert.
Oh.
But in 1965, it became one of the first Christmas songs to be played from space when it was broadcasted from NASA's Gemini 6A.
Way to go, Jingle Bells.
Yeah, so Jingle Bells rocked the Space Jam. I thought that was really cool. I'm telling you, we're just doing lots of fun trivia facts for you guys.
Absolutely. No, Jingle Bells is one of Jack's favorite songs.
We like the fun one. Batman Smells, Robin laid an egg. Yeah, that's what we like to sing.
He digs that one. But we listened to the whole entire version of that. It's intense.
It is.
It's like a whole long thing. I didn't realize that it had multiple verses to it.
Most of them do.
Yeah.
Yeah. We just only take what we want and then we're done with it.
Yeah. The little short truncation of it.
That's how Americans roll.
Whoop whoop.
Speaking of fun Christmas celebrations, them Puritans, we love Puritans.
Yeah.
Mid-1600s, English Parliament banned Christmas celebrations in favor of a day of fasting.
Ew.
So, imagine your Christmas celebrations beginning with fasting.
Yeah, I don't think we actually love the Puritans.
I don't think they had the best ideas.
No.
Okay, so apparently the first state to declare Christmas a legal holiday after the 1600s when it was banished. So this is how long it was banished in America.
What?
Okay, just letting you know, it was banished or not. I mean, people still did it. Don't think that people didn't still do it, but it wasn't the most approved. So we were like rebels without a cause with our mistletoe.
Our Christmas rebels.
Yeah. But the first state to declare Christmas a legal holiday was in 1836, and it was Alabama. The last one was Oklahoma.
Oh my God. But no, like 1600s to the 18.
Yeah.
It's nearly 200 years of being down on the Christmas spirit, man. How did Santa Claus survive?
Sometimes it was fasting. Sometimes, like, you couldn't use butter or sugar. Sometimes, like, it was just different things that was maybe looked down upon it at different periods of time over that 200 years.
I think we would die if there was no butter or sugar.
Because we still
for Christmas
do these things. I mean, there were still Christmas trees. There were still these things like this one. There was candy canes. Well, this is in Germany anyway. All right, we're jumping to Germany. Whatever. 1670. This choir master was having a concert, and it was a really, really long Christmas church Orthodox concert. 1670. Can you only imagine how long this thing is? So his kiddos, I'm how boring. This is droned on in Latin, probably. I mean, oh my God. The seats are probably like the most uncomfortable.
That sounds so terrible.
You're in wool.
Oh my God.
You haven't eaten for 2 days.
Probably.
All right, so this is what you're doing, and you're doing it for hours. So you can imagine that the little young singers that were in his choir began to get squirrely and mischievous. And so to get them to shut the fuck up and sit still, he gave them these little peppermint candies.
Okay.
And said, please sit down. Put this in your mouth and shut up for the rest of this, pageant performance, whatever this thing is.
Bribery through the ages, guys. That's what that is.
So in honor of the season, he would bend these little peppermint sticks into like shepherd's hooks. That's what they're for. They're the shepherd. Jesus's shepherd nativity is what they were. Candy canes are nativity things. Yeah.
That's very clever, though. Because I agree. Children are monsters.
Especially when they're bored.
Yep, and they're there for like this long-ass holiday celebration.
Uncomfortable clothes, standing there, best shoes. Yeah.
Legend has it, dude, that this guy, Shillett House, is a legend.
He said, put this in your mouth and shut up.
Shut up. And then a Christmas tradition was born. I had it figured out.
Yeah,
my
he
friends. Did. Way to go, buddy.
All right. Santa lives at the North Pole because at the time when many of these traditions were coming around, the 1800s, stuff like that, the world was involved with all of these expeditions to the Arctic. And it was the last bit of the globe that was left unexplored. And it had these vast wastelands that could hide these mythical creatures and this magical, mythical place. So that is why Santa lives at the North Pole.
I super love that because it just seemed like a far off place.
It was, at the time. And it was very pop culture as well. The Arctic was very pop culture.
Yeah.
Yeah, mystical, magical, unexplored, dangerous, wild.
Oh, I love that.
Maybe full of riches, unknown.
The modern day Atlantis.
Or
El Dorado. That's super cool.
Yeah.
I dig that. I dig that a lot.
All right, fun fact, because I love them.
Uh-huh.
We think we are so cool with all of our abbreviations, but...
Right.
Xmas is not one of our abbreviations. This word actually dates all the way back to the mid-1500s, and it is from the Greek letter X, which is the first letter in the word for Christ. Christmas. Christmas.
Which I think is really funny because, like, when you do the Xmas, it's like you're taking the Christ out of Christmas, but you're actually just like reinforcing.
You are, but you're really actually putting the Christ into Christmas, the original.
Yeah, you are.
The original Christ.
The OG root word.
Christ.
The
OG. Gingerbread houses have been famous and popular since the 1600s, but really didn't hit the scene as pop culture as we know it until 1812, when a really famous story came out in Germany about a famous Hansel and Gretel.
I love me a good gingerbread house. And I loved Hansel and Gretel. I thought it was absolutely fanciful that there was some witch out in the woods that lived in a sugar-encrusted, glorious...
castle of amazing.
Castle of candy.
Yeah.
Like, I was into it.
Cottage of candy.
Like,
it's a cottage of candy.
Cottage of candy.
I'll take it, though.
I wanted to be that witch. If... I again starting to question my reality at this point. Guys.
Eating the kids.
I wouldn't have,
shaking a stick at eating the kids.
You never know.
I feel like maybe your past life this was you.
Maybe I was
forest witch. Always pissed me off in the original traditional stories. The boy is locked in a cage and fed all the time so that he can get nice and fat and plump to be eaten. But the girl is forced into manual labor and is cleaning and sweeping and scrubbing. And it's like, what the truck, Blossom? Why are we always the imposed servant? Slave, servitude, not even good enough to eat. This mofo sitting on his ass, eating cake, going, gosh, Gretel, I don't understand why you're complaining about this situation.
Modern day pop psychologists would call that weaponized incompetence.
It's infuriating.
Yeah. That's precisely what that is.
Yeah.
We have a ripe tradition.
We do.
That, don't we?
Yeah. So, and him oblivious. This is great, dude.
Right?
I don't understand what the problem is. Can you hand me a sandwich?
Right. I'm stuck in this cage. Can you just...
That's fine. So apparently, the tradition of cookies and milk, like we have this Norman Rockwell imagery, but it was really implemented during the Depression because the families had so little, but the parents still wanted to instill this generosity, this spirit of giving that Christmas is. Even though we have so little, doesn't mean that we don't have something that we can give. We can make something, even as simple as cookies and milk, and we leave out this treat. Kind of tried to keep charitable spirit in their children during times of hardship. So I thought that was really a sweet nod. It can go either way because, as we said, we used to stick stuff in our shoes and shove them out, and, Odin would fill them with cakes and stuff. So the tradition kind of goes, it's very fluid. But I found this and I thought that was really sweet and touching.
No, I love that. And it makes sense during that time. That's exactly what they were experiencing, and that's how they were internalizing Christmas during that Great Depression.
Right.
And that became part of the tradition for them. Because we have to remember that tradition is something that we live through.
Exactly. And they don't have to be hundreds of years old to be traditions.
And it just touches it. It affects it. And
you don't have to, it's called the Great Depression because we had so little, but that doesn't mean that we can't still be charitable and be generous at this time of year and be the humanitarianism that we all need during this time of year.
Heck yeah.
Yeah.
Santa still deserves his cookie.
He does. He does. Tinsel.
I love it.
Hopefully not the spider web kind, but Germany is really a forerunner for a lot of the Christmas manufacturing, the traditions. I don't know why, but they're very into this winter tradition. Mm-hmm. So around 1610, they used to spin tinsel from real silver and then hammer it out, and it is a super luxury decoration back then. And now it's just like a super cheap tree trimming, but it used to be really, really expensive. And at one point, we have even banned it in the United States because it used to contain poisonous lead.
Not surprised.
Probably covered with asbestos. I know.
It was real tricky.
But don't worry, nowadays, it's just plastic. Theoretically. But still, it should be said that it needs to be kept away from children and pets as it is a choking hazard.
Oh, for sure. Who hasn't had a pet that you've had to assist?
I was
pass some tinsel.
I had tinsel 1 year, folks. 1 year. My cat demonstrated why we do not have tinsel ever again, and I never have since. This brings us into, because I just really like to assist and educate and help people through the most challenging times of year to remember, just be careful out there, folks. Everyone needs to be careful. Did you know that 14,700 people visit the hospital emergency room every November and December because of holiday decorating accidents? This averages out to 240 injuries a day. The most common accidents involve falling, lacerations, and back strains. So everyone, let's go slow. Take it easy when we're putting up them holiday decorations, because ain't no one got 8 hours to go chill at the hospital.
Heck no. That's like the worst. The worst way to have to spend your holidays is laid up and not being able to work.
Oh, how rough would that be? No work, just chilling, eating Christmas cookies.
Golly.
That'd be rough. I just want to let everyone know that neglected, dried out Christmas trees spark about 260 fires in the United States each year. This revolts. We should revolt, folks, against real Christmas tree. Please don't have real Christmas trees. That's my PSA of today. But this results in about 12 deaths, 24 injuries, and $16.4 million in property damage, according to the Electrical Safety Foundation. An additional 150 fires are started because of holiday lights and other ridiculous decorative things. This results in an average of 8 deaths, 16 injuries, and $8.9 million in property damage each year from your ridiculous inflatable Santa Clauses in your front yard.
Oh my God.
My last PSA for the holidays, or at least for this episode, folks, is a reminder that you should never burn your old Christmas tree in your fireplace. It actually contributes to a very large creosote buildup, which could lead to smoke inhalation and fires in your house. So dispose of your Christmas trees appropriately if you're going to murder them and display their rotting corpses in your living room as a holiday tradition.
For real. I wish I had known that. Yeah. It's a good thing Google has come along. I think it's improved my life. significantly.
Did you used to burn your trees in your fireplace?
Yeah, my mom used to like cut off branches and burn the pine because it smelled delightful.
Right.
The smell of burning pine. It was a vibe. But had we been able to Google like, hey, it's a wild time before the internet.
It sure was.
Did some wild and crazy things, guys.
Yeah, we did. It was a lot of fuck around and find out.
Truly. If it wasn't located in the Britannica, like the encyclopedia,
we only had 3 at a time. You had like
right?
F and L and maybe T, and like that's it. And if it wasn't one of those letters, you didn't know about it.
Yeah, if it wasn't in there, you didn't know about it. It was not there. Did not exist. Encyclopedias
or a Saturday morning cartoon. That's where we learned how to be humans, folks. We were locked out of the house every morning, allowed back in at dusk. We drank from the hose.
Oh my gosh.
We were wild heathens.
Yeah.
It
was a time to be alive, man.
Well, for those of you that have made it all the way through this really fun, surreptitious route through the holidays, we have another episode coming up with just more fun holiday trivia because I think it's really interesting, and I hope that you do too. And I know that here at History's Uncharted, we hope that no matter what your family traditions are, you have a safe and happy holidays.
Heck yeah, everybody. Happy holidays.
And that's us. Bye-bye.